Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm Brandon Lee and I'm the host, and this is honestly the most favorite part of my job. I get to be the host and talk to amazing, wonderful, awesome people like Joe Hill here and hear about what they're doing and how they serve customers. Joe, thank you for coming on and welcome to the show.
What an amazing privilege, Brandon. I love the show.
Excellent. Well, Joe, everybody, this is Joe Hill. Joe Hill and I, we go back close to 8 years now. We were in a leadership program together for a 1 year, and we've worked on and off together for the years. And when I look, Joe, you're doing some really, really super important work with really super important organizations that don't get enough attention, in my opinion. So, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Yes, I have been happily working in schools and across academia almost as long as I've been happily married. Right? 3 kids, two of them have made more humans, so we're really enjoying this grandparenthood thing.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
founder, Higher Performance Group. We're a small consulting firm working with K-12 and higher ed institutions across the country. Our aim is to cancel average performance. And we can unpack that if you'd like to.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that. Well, Joe, look, what I love and the reason I wanted you to be on the show is you are working with helping K through 12 schools and higher education schools be better, which is better for our communities, it's better for our culture, it's better for our country. I like to ask this question when people come on the show. What is the biggest challenge that your customers are facing right now?
Yeah, the hot challenge, I would say it's endemic to this fact that our systems are not designed to produce the results that we're expecting. Said differently, our systems are perfectly designed to produce the underperformance or average performance that we're seeing across much of K-12 and much of our campus sector today. It's sobering. It's a sobering truth, right? So the hot,
Make sure I heard this right. I want to make sure I heard this right for everybody too. So our school systems are perfectly designed for mediocrity. Is that what I heard?
that's exactly what you heard, and it's backed up by loads of research. Loads. We see some
Wow.
bright pockets of those that are, excelling and doing some amazing things, but the system doesn't allow for that to be sustainable.
Wow. So when superintendents and school leaders and administrators and they're listening to this, most of them are going to go, yeah, that feels about right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sobering truth. I mean, if you look at the two most unhealthy sectors across the United States, healthcare and education,
Wow. I didn't know that.
it might not be a surprise that we're serving organizations. We're
Right.
always the old teapot, right? We're always tipping over and pouring out into others without having loads of opportunity to kind of reinvest in ourselves.
And in industries that aren't really highly encouraged enough to take care of themselves. Is that fair to say?
I don't know if it's normed. I mean, people go into the profession to serve others, and
Right.
we there's typically a calendar that does PD days, but a lot of it is really nuts and bolts stuff. But what we get to is how do we develop cultures that are irresistibly healthy, that
Wow.
keep some of our highest talent? There's just a deluge of high talent coming into education, hanging around for a bit and going, whoa, this is
Wow.
a capacity issue, right? I just, there's not enough hours in the day to meet the demands of our community.
And so what teachers and administrators end up doing, if I'm hearing you correctly, is they overwork, they burn out, and they're underpaid, and then they leave and go find something else. Like I read an article recently about somebody leaving their teaching job and got a job at Costco, and they were actually making more money and were a lot less stressed out. Is that what we're talking about?
I think we work our folks internally like they do at Morgan Stanley, as analysts
Mm.
who just, but they don't quite have the
Grind,
return.
grind.
They don't quite have that return at the end of the 2 week.
Yeah.
So it's a very unique profession, and I've made a life work out of moving in and pulling people out of the wind and the waves to really have deep and meaningful conversations about the work and how it should truly, how the world of that work should be changing.
Yeah. And it sounds like to me, if schools don't solve this problem, There's big consequences. What are some of the big consequences if they don't solve this challenge?
Yeah, there are school districts, there are campuses that are folding up shop. They're just no longer viable, and that becomes just a demand issue of staying profitable. There are learning gaps all over the place, but that's probably not getting the attention quite like some of the operational issues. It's a money game. Your enrollment as an institution, it truly is, that reflects your overall revenue in your system. So if you have
Makes
people
sense.
that are driving past your campus and going to another one, retention of students is it's it's not a joke, not a joke. And it's what every institution is trying to figure out. How do we move more people in and keep them in our systems?
Wow. And I know that that's what you do at the higher performance group. Can you briefly tell us like how do you go about solving this problem? I know you have an amazing track record, but how do you do that?
Yeah, building culture it's a long-standing process, right? We can help to accelerate. Here's a quick story. I was hired to work with a large campus in the Midwest. New president coming on board. 20% of campuses get new presidents every single year. New president coming on board. My very first session, Brandon, I'm inviting the people in, welcoming them, and they're walking in with their heads down, like, and fear was in their eyes. They did not want to make a mistake. They're like, "Where do you want me to sit?" I said, "Come on in. You can sit wherever you want. Are you kidding me?" It was not a safe place. So
Mhm.
we did a little diagnostic work to define, a team profile, and also just kind of some imaging of really what was going on within the institution. Over a year, we did the Lead Team Institute, which is something that we do. It's a yearly program that we do with teams. We benchmarked just 2 months ago. I led a strategic session, one of those proud moments where you look at baseline and benchmark, and that team reported 30% gains in their level of just trust and respect across the
Wow.
lines of the executive space. And I tell you what, if it's not good, if it's not healthy there, you can about guarantee it's not healthy anywhere.
Yeah, and I love that. Like, I don't know the education space specifically, but I do know across the board, if you have a 30% increase in trust and respect, you've got to have at least a 30% increase in productivity because they're so correlated.
It is nearly causal when you look at those numbers. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a seismic shift that is felt by your highest capacity players who are, perhaps we're looking at other opportunities now,
Mm.
deciding to stay.
Wow, that is fantastic, Joe. You're doing some incredible stuff. And as a dad to 5 kids, thank you for the work that you're doing because our schools, they need to be quality. They need to be top tier. And unfortunately, we've kind of lost that a lot in the last few decades.
Yeah, I have a firm belief, Brandon, that every community deserves to be served. Just like you said, your community deserves to be served by healthy teams and highly reliable systems. Well, that's
Mhm.
just not the standard order right now. So we've got a lot of work to do.
I love it. I love it. Well, Joe, if there are administrators in higher education in K through 12 listening to us right now, and they're like, I think I need to talk to this Joe guy, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, pretty simply, you can find us higherperformancegroup.com is our webpage. I'm on LinkedIn, so Dr. Joe Hill, you can find me there as well. And the other places that the kids play these days, the Instas, the Facebooks, we're out there.
They're out there for sure. Well, Joe, thank you so much for being a guest, an excellent guest on the show with us today. I really appreciate you coming by.
My pleasure.
Everybody, there's another wonderful episode of the show. And like all shows, if you like what you see, give us a 5-star rating, share the show with your friends and family. And most importantly, join us again on the next episode of the show. We'll see you.